K. Nambiar. In 1932, K. Nambiar, a Malayali civil engineer working for the government, laid the roads in Tiruvannamalai. The first tar road was laid by him from the hospital to Ramanasramam. He was not bothered whether the government would question him on this act. Such was his devotion. Prior to his visit to the ashram in 1932, a Malayalam translation of the book Who Am I came into his hands. The phrase, the living Maharshi, caught his eye, and he laughed out loud because he thought that Maharshis had lived maybe thousands of years ago. He felt that the statement was incredible. He mocked the entire writing and refused to believe it. But the very next day, another friend of his told him, "Do not make a mistake. I have seen him myself. He is a real Maharshi. Let us go there." This is how he came to Bhagavan. The minute Bhagavan directed his glance at him, he was captivated. When he had to leave after an hour or so, this is what he felt. On leaving the ashram, I felt my heart was being irresistibly attracted to a mighty spiritual magnet towards that divinity in human form. Grant Duff had earlier described such an experience, but Nambiar had not read the account. He spoke from his own experience. Nambiar could visit Bhagavan repeatedly from then on because of the grace of the Guru. His sister's husband was a government medical doctor posted in Tiruvannamalai. Nambiar made use of this pretext to visit Bhagavan. But Nambiar's brother-in-law was an atheist and referred to all sadhus as rogues and lazy people. But again, look at this, the grace that was flowing. Bhagavan had a toothache and he needed to be attended on. And so it was Nambiar's atheist brother-in-law that was on duty at the hospital, and he had to attend on Bhagavan. He, however, said firmly, "I will only treat him like a patient." The doctor, P.C. Nambiar, with whom I later interacted, said to me, "Ganesan, I was very arrogant and disrespectful. I told Bhagavan when I went to extract his aching tooth, 'Bhagavan, just open your mouth.' But the touch of Bhagavan brought about a great change. A complete transformation took place, and this atheist that I was became a devotee." In 1936, Nambiar himself was transferred to Tiruvannamalai. By this time, his bond with the Master had become deeper and stronger in every sense. During a function at the ashram, Nambiar wanted to have food in the presence of Bhagavan. He kept telling himself, "I would like to see Bhagavan while eating." But there was a long queue. Such was the fervor of the devotee and the grace of the Guru, however, that he found himself seated exactly opposite Bhagavan. When the rice was being served, he swelled up with pride and told himself, "Oh, how my prayer has been answered." In Ramanasramam, rice is carried in a big vessel and served. And just as Nambiar was thinking about how his prayers were answered, a ball of rice that was being served to him rolled down from the plate, and Bhagavan looked at Nambiar and said, "It rolled down by itself." What he was trying to imply is that one should not indulge in egoistic thinking that one prayed for something and therefore got it. Nambiar later told me, from that very moment when Bhagavan said, it rolled down by itself. A series of miracles started taking place in my life, and everything was like a dream. One day, Bhagavan appeared in his dream. He showed Nambiar a notebook bound in black cloth. He also showed him the thickness of the book, the size, as well as the number of pages. Bhagavan said in the dream to him, "I want this notebook." Nambiar woke up abruptly and pulled open his drawer. Inside the drawer lay exactly the same book. He grabbed the notebook and ran to Bhagavan, saying, "Bhagavan, you appeared in my dream and asked for this book." Bhagavan then turned to his attendant and said, "I have been asking you for this very same book for the past 3 days. I have been giving you these specifications. But you see, Nambiar has brought it." Bhagavan had been asking the attendant for such a book because he wanted to write down the Ramana Gita that Ganapati Muni had written in the Malayalam script. Look at how Nambiar brought the book to Bhagavan. But Nambiar remembered and said, "It happened by itself, and therefore one must not attribute it to a miracle. It happened because of grace." On another occasion, Nambiar had an even more vivid dream. He dreamt that Bhagavan was seated in the old hall where there was a yogi called Sridhar doing pranayama. He was so focused on doing pranayama that sparks were emanating from his body and even from his head. The yogi was suffering terribly. As Bhagavan looked at Sridhar, he pleaded to Bhagavan, "Bhagavan, I am suffering. Please help me." Bhagavan immediately replied, "Stop all these gymnastics. Pursue self-inquiry. That is the safest, simplest, most direct and powerful way of getting to the truth." Nambiar woke up and went to Ramanasramam. He ran into the hall and prostrated before Bhagavan. The yogi Sridhar was also in the hall. Nambiar signaled to Sridhar to come out. He narrated his dream, and Sridhar very gratefully said, "Thank you. I was suffering so much. I wanted to ask Bhagavan, but I could not gather the courage to do so, and I was also not in the condition to ask him." Nambiar understood from the dreams that one should not be drawn towards miracles, but towards the direct path of self-inquiry. Nambiar grew stronger from within because he understood intuitively that God is seated in one's heart. During such moments of realization, he would recall the verse of another great saint, Sadashiva Ramendra, where it went like this: "O Lord, I am not asking anything new from you. O Lord, you need not give me anything new. Give me only my own blissful state." Nambiar would constantly repeat it. This induced in him to seek satsang. When he was in Ramanasramam, he sought out the company of old devotees like Chadwick and Ramachandra Iyer, Munagala Venkataramaya, Kunju, and Vishwanatha Swamis. As a matter of fact, he would even persuade them to accompany him to Chennai.